Alright, what's poppin', y'all? It's your boy JP. Today's video, we're gonna be reacting to why 50 Cent was never scared of Suge Knight. Now, we all know when it comes to Suge Knight, he had a wild reputation from the streets to the music industry. He was out here bullying rappers, producers, anybody. He was really out here doing whatever he wanted without the care of what anybody had to say. Everybody really feared him, especially at the height of Death Row. And then when it comes to 50 Cent, he's always been stand up, and he's always proven that he is who he say he is, a gangster. You feel me? So we're gonna jump right in this one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to your post notifications on so you know anytime I post a video. Request any videos you like for me to react to, and I got y'all. I'm gonna get them done. But yeah, let's do it. Let's waste no time with it. One.
Like, was somebody from the barbershop like punch you and knock you out after that? Like, you be knocked out like from the guy from the barbershop do that? It changed, and they be like, Suge's outside, and everybody be like, yeah. What do you want?
The story of 50 Cent and Suge Knight is one that will be remembered and talked about for as long as hip-hop prevails. It's a real-life tale that digs far beyond your typical music industry games and beef. Undoubtedly, Suge Knight has put fear in the bones of many artists, producers, and executives who foolishly questioned his authority. However, there was another up-and-coming celeb at the time who wasn't afraid to face him, and that was none other than 50 Cent. What did 50 had on Suge that even Suge had to take a step back in going after 50? Something that he almost never did. The first chapter of Marion Hugh Suge Knight Jr.'s biography begins in Compton, California on April 19, 1965. From his childhood days, Suge was bigger in size than most of his peers, and that's exactly what earned him the nickname Suge Bear. That stuck with him. His body size is what swerved him into football, the track and field. Later on, he went to high school and college. His football career was short-lived though. Suge played for only a few seasons before he started working as a nightclub bodyguard in LA. With his change in profession, also came a change in his habits. Suge got heavily involved in the rampant LA nightlife, which soon formed his personality, and not in a good way. During his time as Bobby Brown's security, he also got introduced to the landscape of the music industry. Knight moved around folks who were making music, signing multi-million-dollar record deals, and making big moves. It was only a matter of time before...
Oh, so he was kind of in the industry already. He was just playing the back scene, you know, as a security guard, making sure everybody's straight. So he was kind of in it already. I ain't know that.
Suge himself would get a piece of the pie, and he eventually did. Once Suge realized that he could not only provide protection, but intimidate people of influence and make ends meet that way, he found himself as a manager of a record label. Believe it or not, Suge managed to get some of the biggest gangster rap names that we know, from Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and the legendary Tupac. Suge found a way to approach all these artists who were at death row, just at the right place at the right time. The reason he found so much success as a manager and a label co-founder was because he didn't care about the means that were used to get the desired result. With that mindset, he quickly accrued a lot of power and influence over the LA rap music scene. Because of his vicious and cruel ways, he resorted to violence ever since he got introduced to LA. What started with cutting off his ex-girlfriend's hair in front of her mother's house quickly transitioned into sending life-threatening messages to Vanilla Ice, framing murders, and eventually getting directly involved in a homicide. However, even though Suge Knight was a notorious gangster without a grain of respect or decency, there was a nut in the rap game of his time who wouldn't be cracked. While he kept things under a tight grip.
Y'all let me know in the comments, do y'all think Suge Knight was really out here pressuring these rappers to sign with him, or it's gonna be ugly out here? Or y'all think that them knowing the protection that the protection that he could provide and the strength that he had in the streets and what he's capable of doing made them like, man, let me just, if I'm gonna be on anybody's team, let me just ride out with Suge Knight, because he got the power and he got the streets with him.
In the West Coast music business, the East Coast was coming up with an artist that was unlike any that Suge or anyone else has seen. See, after Dr. Dre realized where things were going with Suge's bully tactics, he decided to leave his 50% ownership stake from Death Row Records and start again from scratch. Dr. Dre then proceeded to create Aftermath Records under the Interscope label, and his decision changed the history of the rap game forever. First, it was Eminem who got signed to Dre's label, and then, on M's recommendation, Dre signed the upcoming NY artist with nothing but raw potential to his name, 50 Cent. Coming from the South Jamaican neighborhood of Queens, Curtis James Jackson, known to the world by his stage name 50 Cent, had a troubled childhood. Being forced to look after himself from a very young age, 50 perceived the world as a rough place that would break you if you don't stand up and fight. Selling narcotics at the age of 12, 50 Cent struggled to find a place to be a young kid, but there was something that pushed him, even through the roughest of times, and it was music. 50 started rapping at a very young age, but it wasn't until 1996 that he started making records. After his friend introduced him to the work of Jam Master Jay and Run DMC, 50 never looked back. He knew very well that he wanted to pursue a career in the music industry. Eminem was right enough to recognize his hustle. After hearing his Guess Who's Back CD, Eminem talked to Dre and told him about the untapped potential that he saw in 50 as an artist. Dre listened to M, and before you knew it, 50 was signed to Aftermath. That's when things changed for both 50 and for Suge Knight. Why? Well, signing a deal with Dre and M meant that 50 was now moving with the big boys. He was slowly becoming a hip-hop superstar, and with that came a lot of responsibility. The amount of responsibility that makes you a totally different person. Around that time, Suge had just gotten out of jail after 5 years, and he got around to fixing the damage that was done to his record label. Little did he know that the person who would turn out to be his biggest competitor at the time was none other than that same person who was once signed to his label, Dr. Dre, and his freshly recruited talent, 50 Cent. Suge Knight knew very well that he wanted to accomplish anything, even remotely close to finding success with his Death Row Records label. He would have to assert his dominance. Meeting 50 Cent was an inevitable event, and in 2002 was when the first meeting took place. 50 Cent was in the studio filming the video for his now legendary track that skyrocketed his career called Into Club. At the time, he was accompanied by a group of his partners and friends who were with him at the set of the video shooting. However, during the production, one of the people started shouting, "Suge Knight is here," and that's when things got a little messy.
We were shooting In the Club video, and somebody said, "Suge Knight here." And 50 I was at the bar, Gang was there, he was shooting In the Club scene, and he stopped, and Suge came in with 30 Mexicans, like you said, which is weird, you know what I'm saying?
He always wrong with the Mexicans.
You know what I'm saying? And I just remember Smurf and 50 was like, "What's up, man? What you want to do?"
Bang him.
Yeah, Bangin was like, what you want to do?
He came, it was like, "Suge's outside, Suge's outside." Everybody like, it was running, dropping shit, like, man, everybody going, I'm in front of the camera like this.
Nah, that's wild. So Suge was trying to play that game like, oh, alright, you feel me? I just came home 5 years. Dr. Dre's on top of the game. He got Eminem, he got 50 Cent. He probably went over there to check his temperature and see if he could probably bully him out that contract. And like, yeah, you gonna be the next thing up? Yeah, you gonna do that on my side. That's wild. I said Suge Knight crazy.
Everybody like, wow, running. It was just gone. Yeah, now it kind of changed a little bit. Like, was somebody from the barbershop like punch you and knock you out after that? Like, you be knocked out like from the guy from the barbershop do that? It changed, and they be like, "Suge's outside," and everybody be like, "Yeah." What do you want?
Before you knew it, Suge Knight came up to 50 Cent with his goons. Allegedly, he approached 50 with 30 of his Mexican goons. All of 50's crew dispersed in front of the scary West Coast mogul, who came to make a statement. He wanted to let everyone know that he was here and that he was going to be keeping a close eye on everything that was going on. But little did he know that 50 Cent couldn't care less about him showing up. When Suge Knight came up to his face and blew a big puff out of his cigar, 50 Cent cold-heartedly asked him, "What's up, man? What do you want to do?" Suge Knight apparently didn't say a word back to him. He just raised his hand and signaled his entourage to leave the place. That was the end of it. Suge was probably expecting to hear 50 Cent paying homage or begging for mercy. Yet, he got the response that was nothing like that. Clearly outnumbered and in danger, 50 Cent showed no fear to the intimidating gang that was standing right in front of him. The trauma stemming from his childhood days, the troubled times in the hood, and surviving multiple gunshot wounds, all of those things had an impact on 50 Cent. He didn't succumb under pressure when it came to hit him hard. Suge Knight knew very well at that moment that he had nothing further to gain by coming at 50. It was a failed mission. And after that, he and his crew left and 50 continued on to make one of the most memorable rap videos of all time. Nobody knows exactly why Suge appeared that day. He was probably trying to send a message or to intimidate 50 by letting him know that if he wanted to make it in the game, he'd have to go against him. But 50 Cent already went through the worst, so what could Suge possibly bring that 50 wasn't already aware of? When you realize that your life isn't in your hands, fear dissipates. Some people become traumatized. Others, like 50, flip it, and it makes you cold, raw, and uncut. You figure you live your life the way you want, and if it's meant for you to die, however, whatever, then so be it. No regrets. Interestingly enough, from that day on, Suge Knight's power and influence slowly started to decay. He became more reckless by the day, and his persona was chipping away all the hard work that he once put in. Once again, he ended up in prison, and this time around, he was there to stay. In 2018, he was sentenced to 28 years after pleading no contest to voluntary manslaughter in a 2015 hit-and-run case. Meanwhile, 50 Cent is still a present figure, doing music as well as venturing into other areas of business.
Yeah, I love it, man. 50 Cent, hold your ground, you know what I'm saying? Stay 10 toes down. He probably, Suge Knight, I'm sure he had everybody panicking at that shoot, but you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, man respect men. That's kind of how I look at it. I feel like with Suge Knight, you see me, he pulled up on 50 Cent with 30 deep, and he was still with the, what's good? Like, what you trying to do, you feel me? But even like with all that, I feel like with Suge Knight, people probably was already copping the plea when he approached them and stuff, and he kind of seen the sucker and softness in them, and that's probably why he got his way with everybody. Most people, I'm pretty sure, was not gonna challenge him and call his bluff or whatever, even though, you know, his reputation was highly out here in these streets. So, man, much respect to 50 Cent, you know, standing on his, you know, and not scared of anything that's gonna happen when it comes to Suge Knight. And y'all, I wanted to ask a question too. Y'all let me know, you know, because over the years I've always heard in terms of like just Suge Knight, is he like an official Mob Piru, or he's just like his family is tapped in, they from that hood, and he just kind of, you know, associated with it, or what is it like? Did he ever get put on, or he didn't? But either way, this is the end of the video. This was a good one. Shout out to 50 Cent. Shout out Suge. I know he probably, you know, he doing a lot of time right now. But yeah, recommend any videos you'd like for me to react to, and I got you. I'm gonna get them done. And to the next one, I'm off this. Ooh!